Today on CityCast Nashville, it's time for our Friday News Roundup. We always like to end the week with the biggest news stories in town and break them down for you with journalists, comedians, and anybody else we can convince to come on the show. And today, we are oh so lucky because we have both a journalist and a comedian. Joining us is Nashville scene reporter Eli Modica and comedian and longtime radio host Jessica Carter, here to discuss Nashville's growing housing crisis, a new look for I-65, and one spooky comedy festival coming to town. CityCast Nashville is presented by our exclusive launch sponsor, Tecovas. And hey, stay tuned for our Tecovas Don't Go Gently tip for this weekend at the end of the show. It's Friday, October 11th. I'm Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. This week's Nashville Scene cover story is a deep dive into our city's housing crisis and the factors that keep us from building the kinds of missing middle housing we need. Here to tell us all about it is the author, Nashville Scene reporter Eli Modica. Hi, Eli. Thanks for joining us. Can you give us an overview of what you wrote?
So my goal with this article is to put some facts and information behind what a lot of us are experiencing in Nashville. Or can see is happening in Nashville. Mm-hmm. And that's these trends of development that are guided or sometimes required by certain ordinances or codes that govern what can be built and what can't be built and how it can be built. And all of that is broadly like the zoning framework that exists over Davidson County. And it's incredibly complicated. I deliberately tried not to go into too much detail in the article as far as like all of the different designations and the numbers and the letters and all the different like lot sizes and the things that you have to know if you're a builder or a developer. But I did try to broadly sketch out the reasons why we have these huge single family homes that are getting bigger. Mm-hmm. Sometimes knocking down, I don't know where you all live, but knocking down maybe 2,000 square foot ranch house that was built in the 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s and putting up a really big 7,000 square foot home.
So I grew up in Oak Hill and in a ranch house in the 80s. And our next door neighbor now has Downton Abbey. It is the largest house. And when people turn on the street that I grew up in, they're like, oh, you're a rich kid. And then you go to my house and you're like, oh, this is like a nice, modest house. But it's been happening all over the area I grew up in. And you see it also now in East Nashville. And I mean, it's just all over.
Yeah. And Oak Hill is a special case because there's even an additional layer of the Oak Hill city planning and zoning over the Nashville planning and zoning. So that's happening in certain neighborhoods, mainly the older or whiter or wealthier neighborhoods in West Nashville or parts of East Nashville, and also North Nashville. And then the other type of development is huge apartment buildings with a few hundred units that are going up on these corridors. It's a lot of pavement, and Nashville is built for drivers. So these are like apartment buildings going up on streets that are very difficult to navigate. So those are the two types, basically, is what I sketch out. And there's a middle section in that spectrum that we don't have a lot of in Nashville that is medium density housing. So that might be, 4 to 12 units or even up to like 15 or 20 unit, smaller apartment buildings, like lower impact, medium density housing. The ones that we do have, you can probably like see them in your mind. Those were built before a lot of the zoning laws that came up to, in the words of advocates, to protect the character or the single family neighborhoods in Nashville in the 70s. So like there's one at the corner of Wedgwood and 16th. There's one across from Belmont that I feature in this article. So those kinds of housing are like missing from our city landscape. And instead we have single family homes that are getting built into bigger single family homes that are going for millions of dollars. And then these high impact luxury apartment buildings that are often driven to lower income areas and are driven to corridors that aren't as walkable or don't have the same kind of amenities as, say, Sylvan Park or Laughlin Springs. So you don't have to read the article now.
No, please read the article. It's so well researched. The data that you've collected is absolutely amazing. Jessica, you were born and raised here.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? I'm sure you have plenty.
Yeah, I do. I do have a few thoughts. It's frustrating because I had a little house in Woodbine for 13 years, and I sold it a few years ago because I had basically become an island. All the other houses around me had been torn down, and the tall and skinnies were being built, and they were putting two houses on these lots. But unfortunately, while that was going on, my little house was vulnerable, and I had 2 break-ins within a 3-month period. My house was vandalized, bricks were thrown through the windows, and it was traumatizing. It really was. So I actually decided to sell and move because of safety issues. And this was after I had talked to my council representative about getting more lighting in my neighborhood, because Woodbine is a very dark neighborhood at night because of all the old trees. And I feel like there was very little protection for me as a resident at that time.
Sorry to hear that, Jessica.
It's all right.
Woodbine is such a great neighborhood.
It really is. It is a cute neighborhood. I was there at the time of its quote unquote gentrification.
How specifically is Metro Planning Department playing a role in this problem?
What I found, and I talked to several former and current planners, including the director and an assistant director there, Lucy Kemp and Lisa Milligan, is that they're very cautious to upset this equilibrium, and that they also know that this is a problem. There's 2 more studies that the current employees told me, they're waiting on and so I asked, do you think we need more research to tell us that this is still a problem? And yeah, they want to wait. They want to do some more studies, and they want to wait and continue to kind of keep things going the way that they are now. And it struck me as a very, like I said, cautious and conflict-averse attitude. Now, I talked to some other planners, including one who I quote in the article extensively, Olivia Rancine, who used to be at the planning department. She's younger. She recently bought a house, but up until then was, a renter, and she grew up here, and she is ringing the alarm bell saying no, we need to do something now. We need to start to tackle this problem. We're a planning department. We need to be giving technical recommendations. We need to be reading the best practices that exist out there that other cities are doing. And we can't think about the politics or angry neighbors or angry emails. That's for the council members and for the planning commission to deal with. We're the planners. We need to recommend what is best. The institutional planners like Lisa and Lucy, who head the department, have a different opinion that's more cautious and sort of saying we want to proceed very carefully. We have beautiful neighborhoods, which we do, Nashville does, and we don't want to upset everything too quickly. And there's also potentially other mitigating factors. There's codes that are very difficult that dictate development. The 2-staircase code is one that I, include in there. There's water and electricity and utilities impacts that we need to go into. So there is a lot of information we have, but the larger fact that we all know is that people keep pouring into the city, and they have to live somewhere. And so if we've essentially frozen the population in a lot of our neighborhoods, because a house could change hands, but it's still a single family house. So the population stays steady and more people are coming in. Only some parts of the city are experiencing a lot of growth. Other parts of the city are experiencing not a lot of growth. It's not even. And it's also pushing the sprawl out, creating more commuters, more car traffic, and, pushing people that are coming into the city out to the suburbs or the exurbs or, Murfreesboro and Clarksville, which are great towns. But, those people are also, if they work in Nashville or they want to go hang out or eat at Nashville's restaurants, or then they have to sit in traffic or create traffic.
I don't know what the options are other than making this more median income, housing available to the middle class. I mean, the article that you wrote, Eli, was so great. The thing that stuck out with me the most was how these houses that are currently single family, owned by boomers who are dying out, they're going to just pass along to their family. The generational wealth will just stay there within that family. Meanwhile, you have all these other families who need access to housing. And it's like, how is that going to happen? How can we make this happen so that everybody has a fair chance at decent housing?
All right, admit it. It's time to replace your not-so-trusty old boots. You know the best place to shop for quality, handcrafted men's and women's boots is at your local Tacova store, at the Mall at Green Hills, or on Broadway by the Ryman. That's right, you now have 2 locations to choose from, so stop by and grab a cold one as you peruse. Tacova's Nashville is at your service. It's always a challenge to find boots that fit well and can survive a night walking around town, but you can find your perfectly fitted dream boots with the help of Tacova's expert staff. Your new Western boots can elevate a casual look or add a refined flair to any outfit. Everyone will be asking where you got your sick boots, but I won't be asking because I know they must be Tacovas. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all.
We woke up with, it was like Christmas Day with all the amazing news that the Nashville scene has been reporting this week.
Yeah.
Another article that caught our eye, written by William Williams, about the fact that the hideous Confederate flags along I-65 have been removed. Now, Jessica and I went to Overton High School, which is very close to those flags. So I remember, that drive very clearly, going to Brentwood and grabbing, whatever I could before marching band practice and passing those flags all the time. And listeners, for those of you who do not know, maybe you've just moved here and you have no idea what we're talking about. For about, I think it's been about 25 years. Is that right, Jessica, that these flags, and we also had the statue of Nathan Bedford Forrest there, which was a choice.
It was so creepy. It was such a creepy statue.
Such a creepy statue created by Jack Kershaw, who was the lawyer of MLK Jr.'s assassin.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is that there was nothing that could be done because it was on private property. And the property was owned by Bill Doris. And so what turned out, so he died in 2020, but before he died, a trust involving the estate willed the bulk of the property, the private property, to the Battle of Nashville Trust. And then Doris passed away in November 2020. And I'm not sure if you remember, it made national headlines because he claimed his property was worth $5 million and he then left it to his dog, Lulu.
I remember this.
At his death, he stipulated that the nonprofit organization Sons of Confederate Veterans control the flags and the poles via a 99-year deed. So these 2 nonprofits have been kind of battling it out. And so, yes, they are removing these flags. They're finally coming down, but they're debating now. They would like to return the first national flag of the Confederacy, which is commonly referred to as the Stars and Bars. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, similar to you two, I remember I was too young to even know, but I remember being in the back seat, driving Brentwood or whatever it was, seeing this statue, and it was just like a part of the background. And I think, and then now the statue went down. Well, the statue got painted pink and all that.
Yes.
And so for me, this is hopefully one of the final in a long line of just this wave of history, like pushing back the Confederate myth and the heroism that people ascribe to these traders who were fighting for slavery. That signifies to me that even as recently as 2000 or 2005 or whenever it went up, that's dying, and it is dying and it's going away. And the specifics, William Williams is a great writer, one of our veteran writers, and he's all over all the specifics and can gets the facts out. But zooming a little bit out, it's just, this guy passed away. His, the state goes through this process of trustees and lawyers and attorneys, and but basically he died, and now this thing that he was really trying to keep in people's faces, that's dying too. So that's really what it feels like to me. The city is changing, and that these people aren't able to keep these myths up in the face of progress.
What flags would you rather see there? Do you have any suggestions?
Um,
Are you into flags?
I don't know.
Any favorite flag these days?
I want an official freak flag. I want like, if you can, I don't know what the freak flag is, but I want that. That's the flag I want to replace.
There you go, Jessica.
Nashville freak flag. Yeah.
If you have property, next to the highway, fly what you want. And that's what the thing is about this, is that they could have kept flying this Confederate flag, but that's dying now, and maybe the freak flags or other flags are rising.
All right, Eli, I know you are a busy man, so I'm going to let you go because you probably have another breaking news story to go to. But when we come back, I'm going to still be here with Jessica Carter, and we're going to talk about this amazing comedy festival.
Sounds great. Thank you both.
And we are back with comedian, Nashville native, and host of 18 years for Radio Free Nashville. Her show's called Friday Night Drama. We have Jessica Carter here.
Hello. It's great to be here, Marie.
Yes, thanks for sticking around. So I want to hear more about your comedy festival that you have this month, the Conjuring Comedy Festival.
Are you ready for a spooktacular night of Halloween and comedy? That's what the Conjuring Comedy Festival is all about. I'm super excited about it because it is a Halloween-themed night of stand-up comedy, and we are going to have 2 shows that night. I'm going to be hosting both of them at the Barbershop Theater, October 19th. We have a 7:30 show and a 9:30 show. And when I say Halloween themed, yes, we are going to, we're going to decorate the stage. We're going to have some fun Halloween activities. We will have someone there, reading tarot and snacks. We have ticket tiers where there's 2 beers included, if, different ticket pricing, if you come to one show, both shows, things like that. And we're going to have some Halloween trivia and prizes. My comics, I didn't necessarily tell them, hey, you got to come and write all these Halloween jokes. I still want them to, do their set, do their performance, whatever it is that they do, their quote unquote act. However, I did encourage them to wear costumes or Halloween themed, clothing, t-shirts. And I, of course, will be decked out in a costume. And, when I say costume, I'm still working on my costume.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see what happens. It's my favorite time of year. I know people joke about how fall cannot be a personality, but
you identify as autumn.
I identify as autumn, and it's just my favorite time of year. And I do want to give a shout out to my friend Alicia Hamer with the Verge Theater, who is producing this show at the Barbershop. So I'm very excited to be part of Verge and everything that they do. And if you follow Conjuring Comedy on Instagram, you can reach out to me. I'll tell you again real quickly about the shows on the 19th. We have 2 spine-tingling and side-splitting shows planned for you. The first show is featuring James Holliday, Drew Harrison, and Marie Anderson.
Hello, I will be there.
Hello.
And I will be having Halloween content. I want to scare the audience. That's my plan. It's spooky.
See, that's what I wanted. I wanted the comics to feel like, hey, do your regular stuff, but if you want to.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm rewriting it all.
Okay. I'm so excited. Get weird.
So fun. Oh, of course. Got my freak flag flying.
Yeah, let your Halloween freaky flag fly. Could you imagine if they replaced all those flags on I-65 with just various Halloween flags?
Oh, my goodness.
I would love that.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Or the holiday.
Just all holidays.
Just all holiday flags. It would be like in Nightmare Before Christmas when he finds the different holiday trees.
Oh,
oh, that
would be lovely.
Yeah, you'll just replace those
We'll petition it.
questionable flags with fun holidays.
Love it.
But yeah. And the 9:30 show, I'm also super excited about. That's featuring Miriam Kirk, John DeToy, and Derek AKA Sleazy Evans.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, everybody mark your calendars for October 19th. And we'll also be putting in their show notes more information about it as well.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Jessica, thank you so much for being on today. And
Yes.
and you know, it's really an honor. I real quick, I went to high school with Jessica, and I just adored her then, and I still adore you now. So thank you.
I adore you, Marie, and I'm so happy that the opportunity to come on here and talk about the show.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, we'll have to have you come on again another time to talk about your radio show, because
Absolutely.
you've been hosting that for 18 years, and it really is such an amazing show. So
thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right. Take care. And now it's time for your Tecovas Don't Go Gently tip for this weekend. It's homecoming weekend for Tennessee State University, one of Nashville's 4 historically Black colleges and universities. This Saturday, the Big Blue Experience will be taking over Jefferson Street for their annual parade starting at 9 a.m. Come out and enjoy the Grammy Award-winning aristocrat of bands and sophisticated ladies, and then cheer on the Tigers at 5 p.m. as they take on Eastern Illinois at Nissan Stadium. Remember, y'all, don't go gently, go into Tecovas. That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. Our executive producer is Whitney Pastrick. Our producer is me, Marie Cecile Anderson. Our Hey Nashville newsletter editor is Margaret Kingsbury. Our theme music is by Prof. Jenkins. And y'all, make sure you get out there tomorrow and watch him in the TSU Homecoming Parade. We love you, Prof. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be off on Monday for Indigenous Peoples Day, but back Tuesday morning with a very special episode featuring other CityCast hosts from around the country. Have a great weekend. Toodles!